Hello everyone and welcome to Patrick's Basement. It's nice to see you here again. As I mentioned last time, today we are going to take a little journey back in time to 1966 because today I'm going to do both Batman and Robin from the most famous TV series of the 60s. Since both heroes belong together, the whole thing will be a kind of a double review. I would like to start with the packaging, and as you can see they are kept in the same style except for the colors. It's very reminiscent of the ever famous intro of the TV series, which will probably have stuck in everyone's memory. Batman and Robin fight their way through a group of criminals with that famous pat, boom, bang sound effects. All of this as shown here on the packaging in drawn form. I like the intro, and of course the same goes for the packaging. We see the head of Batman and Robin depicted in comic art. In the background, the Gotham City skyline in the sunset, the additional curved lines that have been integrated into the yellow background are nice to look at. Above we have the original Batman logo from the TV series. Further down there is a Batman and Robin lettering, the respective characters of our two heroes all on the sides. And their manufacturer number MMS 218 and MMS 219. On the back we have another view of Gotham City's skyline, and if we look up we can see the big bat signal shining in the sky on the right side. If we take off the cardboard slipcase we can already see our heroes blinking through a window, but there still have to be passion for a moment. As just mentioned, both packaging are identical except for the colors, in this case Batman blue and Robin green, with similar design to those in the cardboard slipcase before, striped lines. Then the Bat and Robin signal at the bottom, which is also only slightly larger on the back with the credits. What I find particularly funny are the little details that have even been incorporated even through the figure has even been taken out of the packaging. Firstly, calling Batman. And here very funny, holy collectible figure. So an allusion to Robin who expressed his amazement with holy in every episode. I have to say that certainly put a smile on my face. Then I would like to draw attention to something, and I have a question about it. Do you remember Batman and Robin always climbing along the building? Where a little later they pass a window that opens and one or two celebrities look out of the window just to give Batman and Robin a comment on the way? I think there must have been around 13 celebrities. Anyway, if so, and you can remember, then you will be happy to know that this part of the building is pictured on the back, complete with a window that even opens. But not only that, if you're lucky enough and like me owning both figures, you can stack both packaging on the top of each other. If we look at the top part of the packaging, we can see a slot into which we can insert the battering to recreate the famous climbing scene. I'm really amazed and happy that this was stock and included. You can do some crazy things with this, but that's for later in the poster clip. I would say this would be the ideal opportunity to take our two heroes out of the box so they get into the action. So let's grab the red phone and call the dynamic duo. Batman and Robin from 1966, oh man, memories come flooding back as a child. These two people were my absolute heroes, which is unimaginable today just because of their bizarre costumes. Today everyone will make fun of it. Imagine an Adam West interrogating a Heath Ledger Joker in the interrogation room like in The Dark Knight. Inconceivably. But in my childhood there were exactly three superheroes I admire. On the one hand, Superman played by Christopher Reeve, and of course these two gentlemen here. A little later, of course, names like Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, Bale and co. were added. but for a while there was only Adam West and Burt Ward. I would like to start with Batman, and a little later we will move on to Robin. The face is very well done in my opinion, and I think it's very easy to see that underneath the mask is Adam West, which is always easy to tell since half is hidden by a mask. Nonetheless, whether it is the eyes or the mouth area, for me it's Adam West. The mask itself has its very own style. The entire costume is predominantly blue and grey, but in the facial area it is black, with the well-known painted eyebrows that are downwards, to maybe, just maybe, make him appear a little more frightening lad. We also see fine painted lines on the nose. The ears on the side looks like they were sewn on in the original, although they perhaps stick a bit too much for my liking. I think the mask is in one piece like the original, and the cape was added later. To my surprise, the cape is relatively thick. I thought they would choose a slightly thinner material. My fear was that if the cape was too thick, I would stick out. But you can see that my worries were in vain. Everything is fine. The cape is secured with a clip at the neck and also fastened with the snap fasteners on the shoulders and the back. The batsuit itself is grey, also made of slightly thicker material, however some cushion is required here. The material can be stretched well, but the fabric is very sensitive to rough hands or sharp fingernails. If you're not careful, this will happen to you. This is already pointed out in the instructions. Just try as much as possible to avoid touching the batsuit. It's best to use clothes like this. Otherwise you will quickly end up with a leather in your suit like I did. And that's annoying. In the middle we see the iconic yellow bat logo, which has unfortunately gone out of fashion. I always thought it was cool, but times are changing. Speaking of iconic, I don't think the bat belt has played as a bigger role in any Batman series as it does in this TV series. I remember that no matter what tricky situation Batman was in, he always had the right gadget in his belt. Of course, other series didn't miss the opportunity to make fun of it and made a parody of the dynamic duo more than once. Due to the pockets, the belt is a lot larger than today's new editions. The bags are made of plastic and sit on a yellow elastic band. The belt buckle is gold, and in the middle you can see the bat logo again, albeit in a slightly different shape. The pants are blue and made of the same material as the cape, I would say. The boots are made of plastic and in one piece. With some figures the feet are separate, which has advantages and disadvantages. I prefer to have them in one piece because it just looks a lot better. The disadvantage will be that there will probably be restriction on mobility, but we will see that soon. The boots themselves look really good, very nicely painted. If we look closer we can even see the zippers on the inside. Let's go to the mobility. The head can be completely rotated around its own axis. In terms of back and forth, it's already a little more limited. Unfortunately, the hull can hardly be turned or not at all. It's a little better to go back and forth. The arms can be stretched out literally by about 70 degrees. When stretching forward, we at least get to 80 degrees. The angle works perfectly. The legs can be stretched forward to 35 degrees and the bending does not cause us any problems. As just mentioned, the boots are in one piece and therefore unfortunately allow little to no mobility. The figure is very well balanced, which we can mostly do without the base. Let's move on to accessories. We have 13 interchangeable hands, 3 different mouthpieces, a speaker, a shock repellent spray, a batarang, and a bomb. Let's start with the base, and we don't need to say much about it. It's pretty simple. It consists of an oval plastic disc. In the middle we see the well-known Batman logo from the TV series. Further down there is the plaque with the name, in this case, Batman. We have the opportunity to give Batman 3 different facial expressions. We have 3 different mouthpieces to choose from. You can choose between a closed mouth, a relaxing mouth, and a baring mouth. depending on the situation. The mouthpieces can be replaced thanks to an integrated magnet. Let's get to the Bat Radio, and that would be a device that I would have assigned to the Joker because of the somewhat strange design. With a little imagination, the shape resembles a bat. Two golden antennas ensure receptions. We have a bracket that can be rotated completely around its own axis, also in gold. Then the loudspeaker at the top. And since the device has a kind of a walkie-talkie function, I think that this area that looks like a mouth is a microphone. Let's get to my personal highlight, and it's really funny. We have the shark repellent spray here. Holy mackerel, Batman! There is a shark coming! Don't worry, Robin. Pearly, by chance, I have my shark repellent spray with me. Oh my god, Batman! Is there something you don't have in your belt? No matter what delicate situation your dynamic duo is currently in, Batman has the answer. The spray can is blue metallic with the red label shark repellent. At the top we see a yellow screw cap that can even be removed. Let's come to one of Batman's most famous pieces of equipment, and it should be familiar to everyone who is familiar with Batman and Co., namely the Batarang. This is one of the largest variants that I have been able to hold in my hand so far. The other figures I have presented so far, we are a bit smaller. This one is 2.36 inches, and of course there is a rope on it that's long enough of both Batman and Robin to climbing along a building. We'll see about that later. Finally, we have a huge bomb that is made entirely of plastic, slightly flattened on the lower side so that we can put it down. Otherwise the thing would always roll where it shouldn't roll. In fact, I had to do some research, because when I hold the bomb in my hand for the first time, I thought it wasn't complete. I missed the fuse. But my research confirmed that there was no fuse on the bomb. Admittedly, the whole thing looks strange, but I'm having a good day today, so I let it slide. I would say Batman can take a break for now, because now we come to the second part, if you will, because now we come to Robin. I like both characters from 1966, both Batman and Robin, but as a child I particularly liked Robin's costume the most. Even though people would make fun of this costume today because it looks more like it came from a Kurt Jester from the Middle Ages or a Disney animation film with Evan, especially because of the very unusual look of the boots. But I really liked this look back then, as I still do today. But I would like to start with the head, and I think there's nothing to complain about here either. Good work has been done here. You can clearly recognize the young Burt Ward. In contrast to Batman, we get to see more of his face here, as the mask doesn't hide half of his face. The ears stick out slightly. Anyone who has ever worn a mask like this knows what I'm talking about. Not to forget, the hair is also very beautiful designed. We have the well-known sculpted hair here. Good job. We already talking about the costume. The cape is yellow, made of a thinner fabric, far shorter than Batman's cape. It is also fastened with snap fasteners on the shoulders and the front and the back. The costume is overall very colorful. I really like the combination of red, yellow and green. The costume is made of a slightly thicker material than the cape. It's nice to see the lacing and eyelets here. If we go to the left side of the chest, we discover the Robin logo. Further down is the belt, which I personally really like. It matched the entire costume. Of course, you can't carry as much equipment with you as Batman's belt. Still nice to look at. Here too, the belt is made of a type of a rubber. Unfortunately, there is one point of criticism, and that would be the exposed joints of the arms. I know it's been over 10 years since these figures were released, and so they are getting a bit old. That's why I don't want to complain too much. Unfortunately, such figures can still be found today, which were made less than 10 years ago and whose joints are visible. Nowadays, there is the possibility of putting synthetic skin over the joints, similar to my Wonder Woman figure, which of course looks a lot nicer, of course a cost factor, no question. Thanks honey. The pants are green and made of the same material as the costume above. The skin-colored tights underneath are made of a slightly thinner and more flexible material. I'm a child of the 80s, and if you think that the tights threw me off, then it's more the unusual boots that did it. Just mentioned briefly, the boots, which I think we only know from films with aliens and flying unicorns, are completely made of plastic, and I think they are unique because of the cut. Because they are a lot shorter than normal boots, they are separated and easy to move around. Let's move on to mobility. The head can also be rotated once around the entire axis, top and bottom without any problems. The torso can be rotated a little more than on Batman. Back and forth also works a lot better. The arms can be extended to the sides to almost 90 degrees. Forwards the front we also almost reach 90 degrees, who would have forked. Angling works without any problems. The legs can also be extended to 90 degrees, and here too the angling works perfectly. As just mentioned, the feet are separated and can be easily aligned to the front, back and sides. And here too the figure is so well balanced that we can easily do without the base. Let's move on to the accessories. We have 10 interchangeable hands, 1 bat radio, 1 bat handcuff, and 1 battering. There are 2 things I don't need to go into any further, the first being the base and the bat radio. Both are exactly the same as Batman. The same actually applies to the battering except for the sides, which I wanted to briefly touch on. The battering here is slightly smaller than Batman's, this one is 1.9 inches, with Batman we remember it was 2.3 inches. All that's left are the bat handcuffs, they are for the bad guys. They actually have a cool design, I like it. The handcuffs are black with a chain in the middle of course. Layers also we have the option to open and close them. Thanks to these 2 figures from Hot Toys, I had the opportunity to take a little journey back in time to my childhood. And it was a lot of fun to see both of them in action again, if only for my review. Both figures resemble the original All Honor, they are well implemented and can be staged fantastically, as you have just seen. My rating is therefore as follows. And what you can do with both of them, I'll show you now.
Batman and Robin, known as the dynamic duo of the 60s, I'm proud to say that these two guys will lead my Batman collection from now on. As you can see, 1 or 2 names are still missing from my collection. In fact, I still have Batman from Batman Returns in my collection. I will too still mention. Robert Pattinson is currently still pre-ordered. I have no idea when it will finally arrive, but everything in order. First, we are going on a journey to a galaxy far, far away, because in the next review I will present Count Dooku from Star Wars Episode 2, another very well made figure from Hot Toys, I can promise that at this point. So that was Patrick Spaceman, I hope you're enjoying it. I will be very happy to welcome you here again next time. Until then, don't forget, if you look for toys, then Patrick's your choice. See you then.